All right, so we will start with our weekly check-in because it's really nice for us to build relationships before we start diving into the work. So, first off is our random question. Would you rather be too hot or too cold? Person answering that question today is going to be Ella V.
Yeah.
Ella, would you rather be too hot or too cold? You'd rather be too hot. Yeah, you prefer being warm. That's fair. Anybody else put too hot? A couple in this class? You like the warm weather? It's okay if it's humid. What about too cold? Did everyone else put too cold, I'm guessing? Yeah, I'm in the too cold camp. I would rather be too cold. Because I figured with being too cold, it's very easy to like warm yourself up. Whereas if you're too hot, it's very hard to cool yourself down. So,
Unless you put yourself in a freezer.
unless you put yourself in a freezer, yeah.
I would put my head in the freezer whenever it's too hot.
That's a good point. You can do that. All right, micro goal for this week. Person answering that is Asma. What's your micro goal? What's a small thing you would like to accomplish this week? Do you know? No? Too shy? I would say that you probably should have the micro goal of finishing those roller coasters. Yeah? Okay.
Go out with my friends.
Go.
Out with my friends.
Go out with your friends? That's nice to have some little social time too. Good. Going out with your friends is good. Selene, what about you? What was your micro goal? Pass this test? I like it. All right. Shall we talk about this test a little bit so that way you know what it is? And it's not exactly a test. It's a little bit more low-key than that. All right. Anything that anyone would like to share before we move on? Alpha.
I'm going on a speedboat on Friday.
You're going on a speedboat on Friday? How exciting. Take lots of pictures. It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
My micro goal is about the speedboat.
Yeah?
I better not fall off.
I like it. Very good things. Yeah, it's good safety to stay on that speedboat. All right, cool. Let's move on then to talk about our learning journey. So last week we spent a lot of our focus on speed and understanding how to calculate that. This week I want to see how well you understand forces, motion, and energy. So it's a nice little recap of everything that we've done, and it's basically, like I said, we're going to do our assessment this week. Now, it's not like a test where you're going to have questions that you need to answer and then you can't access your notes or anything like that. It's going to be a project based off of those roller coasters that we talked about last week. But before we move on to our roller coaster stuff, let's do our weekly Fakatoki. This week is Hi Ihu Kure He Tangata Hare, which is as a dog follows a scent, a traveler relies on the hospitality of others. Beware blindly following your nose, be deliberate and make good choices. I like that one a lot for our last week of term with the whole make good choices because we want to end this term on a good note. All right, so lesson plan for today. We're going to introduce first Mr. Hall, who is our student teacher. Some of you guys might have already met him. Then I will talk a bit about your roller coaster assessment, and then you guys will have the rest of the time to work on your roller coasters. And you'll have today and Thursday to get them built. Sound good? All right, so success criteria, we're basically ticking everything off the list because you're showing me what you know. The only one that we haven't had a chance to cover is 14 and 15, and that's okay. It'll just get crossed off our to-do list. Cool? All right, keep going.
Wait.
All right, you can grab that in a moment. You don't need to grab that right now.
Well, we need a hole.
You don't need it. You're going to get it later. You will need your book. Now, if you notice, I haven't written anything down today, and that's okay because our primary focus is the project, okay? So don't worry about writing down learning intention and things. All right, cool. I will hand over to Mr. Hall, who will introduce himself. Our student teacher.
All right. Kia ora everyone, kia ora koutou katoa, ko rangitoto te moana, ko tikapa moana, ko Ngāti Pākehā te iwi, ko Mr. Hall toku ingoa, no Tamaki Makaurau, e noho nei o, Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. I was just saying there, my name is Nicholas Bissell. I am from Auckland. I've spent basically my whole life in Auckland, except for I went down to the net. Oh, is it the second slide there as well?
Got it.
Right, thanks. So I'm born in Auckland. A lot of you probably were, you might not have been as well. I went down to Otago where I studied food and nutrition, so that's really my specialty. So I know lots about food, I know lots about science as well, because to learn about food and nutrition you need to learn lots about science. And I'm here at Edgewater for another 6 weeks approximately. So I'm not going to be doing as much teaching today, we're focusing on your roller coasters, but come next term I'm going to start doing a bit more teaching, so you're going to hear my voice quite a lot. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to ask me. If I explain something, there's a good chance I haven't explained it properly, so if you don't get it, please just ask me to either repeat it or explain it a different way, because I'm still learning how to be a teacher, so I might not say something the right way. But other than that, yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
What were you trying to do?
Thank you. All right, so back onto the roller coasters. So in a moment, you guys will grab the roller coasters that you started last week. What you're going to be doing is building a roller coaster out of card paper, and you're going to be rolling a marble down that roller coaster. You need to be able to make sure that that marble can at least do 1 loop around. That's one of the requirements. What I've also done is created a Google slide, so that way you can present, or not present as in give a presentation, but communicate across how your roller coaster works and tying in the science content that you guys have learned this term. And that's going to be your grade for the wide world of sports. And like I said, you guys are allowed to work on this project individually, in pairs, or in groups of 3. You can't work in groups larger than 3. And whoever you are working with, you need to hold on to that pair for the duration of the time, because then it gets really complicated for me when you keep switching back and forth. So, last week we watched this video, and this is the paper roller coaster that you are building. You have the card paper that you started cutting out, and you're going to be taping it and putting it onto a piece of cardboard, and you're going to be rolling your marble down, and that marble needs to complete at least 1 loop. I know some of you guys want to build more complicated roller coasters, and I'm allowing you to do that, but make sure you have the time to get that all done. All right. So, if we go to Google Classroom, building that roller coaster is only one part. Ella? She said both my Ellas.
I'm sorry.
It's only one part of your assessment. The other thing is that I want you to communicate across an understanding of how that roller coaster works. So I've created a Google slide for you guys to write your little report. And like I said, because you might be working with other people, it's important that you write their names down as well. In fact, anything in blue, you should be deleting it and writing your answer in there. What I've also provided for you guys is the assessment criteria. So what I'm looking for in order to give you your grades. You guys can keep track of whether you've done something or not done something in blue by writing yes or no. And when I give you guys some feedback, I can give the same thing, but I will change the color to red. So that way you know which one's yours and which one's mine. But there's several different things that I want you to do, and that comes at different levels. So the first thing is, can you build a roller coaster with 1 loop and the ball successfully going through? Now that one will go up to the merit level of excellence. If you can build a roller coaster, but maybe your ball doesn't go through the loop, then that's only achieved. But if you can build the roller coaster and get it to go through the loop, then you have a merit level. But that's not the only thing that will decide your grade. Some of you guys might want to build more complex roller coasters with maybe multiple loops. It may or may not be successful, and that's going to help determine should you get a merit or excellence point. The other thing that we have in this this Google Slides is a way to communicate how you know that roller coaster works. So for example, can you describe the energy transformations? So here's a slide on that energy transformation stuff. Can you do a speed calculation for me? So take a piece of yarn and measure your track time how long it takes the marble to go down that track and calculate the speed? Can you talk about variables and, what's the dependent variable? What are some control variables? This slide here gives you a chance to communicate across how the marble moves. And this slide here talks about troubleshooting. So if something doesn't work in your roller coaster, why doesn't it work? How did you fix it? Those sort of things. All of those things are included on that success criteria as well. You can see the students can explain the movement of the marble. And depending on how well you explain the movement of your marble and use our key vocabulary words, I will give you an achieved merit or excellence point. And then depending on how many achieved merit and excellence that you get, your overall grade for Wide World of Sports will be based off of it. So I am judging it based off of the majority. So if you want it achieved, you need to get at least 4 out of the 6. If you want a merit, you need to get 4 out of the 7. And if you want excellence, you need to get 2 excellence points and 2 merit points for me to see that. So basically, you're trying to get 4 out of the total on the list. Does that make sense to everybody so far?
What if you get 4?
What if you get
4.
4 what?
4 merit points.
If you get 4 merit points, then you get a merit overall for your grade. So it's the majority. So you got to show me like a roller coaster that works. Give me the energy transformation at the merit level, that sort of thing. All right? So for today and Thursday, I want your focus to be building your roller coasters, because if you don't finish the written report, you can always work on that written report over the holidays. So I don't have the written report due until the end of the holidays, okay? So you have plenty of time to get it done. And if you're working in pairs or groups, you can work on it together and try to divide up the work. Does that sound good? All right, so I will give you guys the rest of the period to work on your roller coasters. So on the bookshelf, there's scissors, there's tape, there's cardboard, there's extra copies of the template as well. If you guys want to cut some more, I'll go lay them down on the table so that way it's easy access. All right, go ahead and get started.